Welcome, everyone, for joining today. I want to invite you to Hope Sparks Spotlights, where I zero in on inspiring people working in education innovation. Today, I'd like you to meet Hope Wilder. She's an author, a school founder who believes in children's empowerment. Hope helps parents, teachers, administrators, and students to create communities where all voices are heard. Hope, I love your name. And to be honest,
Likewise.
when I first heard about you and your work in Sociocracy, I wanted to find out more. Can you share what is Sociocracy for those who don't know before we roll into getting into what you're doing?
Sure. So sociocracy is a set of tools to help people make decisions together. It's also a form of governance, and it originated from the Quaker consensus, but it's been modified to be more streamlined, efficient, and the idea is that you come up with decisions that are good enough for now and safe enough to try. So it helps people collaborate and come together and find solutions that work.
That makes sense to me. And I work with lots of grown-ups who are navigating decision-making and consensus building. I have to admit, though, I haven't met anybody working to provide training and workshops for educators and families to support decision-making with children. Could you share a little bit about what your training looks like and why it matters for children right here, right now?
Yeah, definitely. So what I see a lot of times happening is adults making decisions for children. And of course, when a child is born, the parents are completely responsible and have to take all the decision making. But then it's kind of a gradual process with a lot of mistakes and bloops along the way to the child becoming an adult. And I feel like what I do is I help along the way by helping parents and teachers include children in decision making about things that are important in their lives, to kind of build that responsibility and build that decision making power, so that by the time they're adults, they can not only make decisions for themselves, but they're really great at making decisions with other people on collaborative projects, which we know is so important in today's workforce, when it's all about how you work with other people.
Yeah, that really resonates. I think when we don't give kids the opportunity to learn how to make decisions when they're younger, then all of that training and feedback loop of what works, what doesn't, it gets left to when they're young adults or older adults, and then all of a sudden they don't have that muscle built up.
Right.
And so who's coming to you saying, Hope, help me with this? We're noticing kids are having trouble making decisions, or how are people coming to you and what are they articulating as the problem you need to help them solve?
Yeah, I'd say most frequently it's families and schools that are coming to me, but also after care centers and things like that, daycares. And the major problems are community agreements. So really just how do we treat each other? How do we get things done? What's our community culture? And how do we wash the dishes? How do we keep our shared spaces clean? How do we organize our art supplies? So it's very practical problem solving. And a lot of times this problem solving comes out in the form of conflict. So I do work with conflict resolution, but what I work with more is kind of turning conflict and tension into curiosity and saying well, what's really happening, and what are the needs that people are having in this situation? And then how can we work together to find some short-term solution? Let's just try it for a day. Let's try it for a week and then check in and see how it goes. And that's my basic process, and it creates a lot of safety. I've had parents come to me, especially around rules around screen time, where maybe the adult is used to making all the decisions, and the child is really pushing back against those restrictions. but creating a sense of safety around like, well, what is the child getting out of screen time that they can't get any other way? Maybe they're connecting with friends. Maybe they need a different way to connect with friends. Maybe they need, how do we meet those needs? Maybe the parents are saying, we miss you at the dinner table. We want to connect with you. How do you
Yeah.
meet that need? And then working from there to just try things out, say like, okay, can we try these new rules for a week and then check in and see how it goes and change so that it's not like, this is the rule we have forever. That can be really intimidating and disempowering for people.
Yeah, I think your word of disempowerment, and also highlighting that maybe you're brought in for conflict resolution, or that seems to be like the pointy reason that people are like, hi, I need help. And then when you come in, you're able to provide situations or support around context and connection building and common ground, and like all of these amazing ingredients that support a more healthy culture, whether you're at school or a community center or a family. Would you say that that sort of sounds true?
Oh,
Yeah.
completely. I think conflict is just the tip of the iceberg, and it's a signal that something's happening
Right.
that's not working. And then things like, a lot of times people don't have either group agreements, like how do we treat each other, just very baseline, very simple. And that can change so much, just coming back to like, are we following our group
Oh my
agreements? How do we
goodness, group
feel?
agreements. I've been talking about this with people, with grown-up clients around their partnerships or their
Right.
marriages. I don't know how many families have group agreements with their kids though. And I
Yeah.
really, I'm curious to hear if you walk families through creating these sort of group agreements together.
Yeah, I have done that. And it's especially helpful for sibling conflict, I would
Mm,
say, is something that I've noticed.
how so?
And well, just people always, say nice things when they're coming up with group agreements. And then it's a matter of remembering it later. And a lot of times with siblings, they'll either argue over shared resources. So coming up with agreements can help clarify, like, how do we share these resources, and start a conversation so that it's agreed upon already, and that just avoids the conflict. But also, people say how they want to be treated, and it's just that reminder of like, oh yeah, I need to treat other people that way too.
Oh my goodness. I'm thinking of my two kids and how useful that would be. I wonder, Hope, if you could use me as a guinea pig.
Sure.
If we could walk through an example, and I'm happy to, give some details about my family life, but to give listeners an understanding of how you might walk through consent and supporting decision making for kids. How do you want to do this? Do you want me to present something, or do you want to ask me a question? What would work?
Yeah, why don't I provide a little framework? So first off, just what's the situation? Like, what's happening? If you can paint a picture.
So I'll bring up, our daughter is homeschooling. She's at home and she's doing all of her academic work. She's very self-directed. She's not motivated to be active physically. So she doesn't have sports at school, and she doesn't have anybody sort of coming and pulling her out of her room to engage with how to be active and how to stay physically healthy. And I think this is causing some stress in my partner, who wants to see her be active. And so he's trying to will her to do this, which is making her resist further. And I see that as a point of tension and conflict. And I wonder if you have any suggestions.
Yeah, I guess the next step would be kind of like the feelings and needs of people involved. So it sounds like primarily, and you can speak to what you think they're feeling and needing, but you would, like, obviously in a real world scenario, you would ask them.
Yeah.
So what do you see like your partner feeling and needing, and then your daughter feeling and needing?
I'm going to guess my partner feels like he wants his child to be healthy and physically active, because he feels that's connected. Mental health and physical activity are connected for him. So he feels like if she doesn't move her body more, she will suffer some consequences in her mental health. And I would say my daughter's feelings would be, I don't feel like moving my body that much. And maybe I will, maybe I won't, but it's my body and it's not up to you to tell me.
Right. Yeah. So something that we often do in Sociocracy is called measuring the concern. And it sounds like your partner has a very strong concern about your daughter's mental and physical health, which is like very important and very reasonable for a parent. So what I would suggest is even just like asking, both the partner and the daughter, do they have, this is a little bit more NVC-ish than, anyway, how I would form a proposal is saying, what is each other's request for the other one for the next week? So just say for the next week, what is the partner's request for the daughter? And then, and it might be, can you track your mental and physical health? Like maybe every day, can you rate from 1 to 10? How are you feeling mentally and physically? And then that's like measuring that concern, but putting the power in the daughter's hands. It's a request. It's like, I'd really like you to do this. I'm worried about you. And like, I really want to know how your mental and physical health are. And like, maybe I'm afraid that you're having harm, but harm isn't happening right now.
Right.
And then for the daughter, it's like requesting, like, can you stop bugging me about this because it's my body? Or like, can you respect my choices because it's my body? Like bodily autonomy is extremely important. So it's like, if they can come together on that as a value, like the value of like, we listen to each other, we respect each other. And also we understand that like, at the end of the day, your daughter's going to be responsible for her body for the rest of her life. And then it's like taking it just one little chunk at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time. And then allowing, like if mental health and physical health are deteriorating, saying like, how can we improve that? Like, how can we as parents support you? Do you have any goals around this and how can we support you? Because it's like, if it's not that intrinsic motivation, then it's just you kind of forcing her to do something she doesn't want to do, which causes resentment,
I think that's the gem. That's so helpful, Hope. The golden nugget, as my friend says, intrinsic motivation. And I feel like that is, if we can, as parents or educators or supporters, initiate or spark that intrinsic motivation, I think that's all we can hope for, literally. Because then kids develop their own agency and their own sense of self. If you could share something with parents who are listening or educators who are concerned about decision making in their family or in their school, what is something that you feel is really helpful, a grounding statement to remind grown-ups when it comes to kids? We can end on.
Yeah, I would say, listen to what the kid says first and foremost. And then if the kid has some, your child has some wild idea of what to do, just ask yourself, is it good enough for now? And is it safe enough to try? Like, can we try this out for a little while? Try following the child's lead and like, see how it goes. So just that like letting up the tiniest little bit of control and giving a little bit more trust to the child.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Hope. How can parents and educators find you?
The easiest way is to go to my website, hopewildertraining.com. So it's just my name plus training. There's no dots, there's no dashes, hopewildertraining.com. And it has links to my book and my other work.
Amazing. Well, I will put all of those notes below, and please keep up your awesome work, and I'll keep you posted on the consent journey in my household.
Great.
Thanks,
Well,
Hope.
thank you so much.
Have a great day. Take care.
You too.
Bye.